So if you don't know, finally the Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion trial has come to an end, and he's got sentenced to 10 years in jail. And Boosie got some words for the sentence that he received. Let's hear what he had to say.
Tori got 10. I got 10 for third offense. And that came out good. Lucky he wasn't in Louisiana, boy. I got 10 years for third offense marijuana, nigga. Never offer rehab. Never been to rehab. Never been to rehab. Third offense marijuana, I got 10 years. Lucky he wasn't in Louisiana.
And so real talk, when Boosie put it like that, it's like, yeah, I guess he is lucky he only got 10 instead of 40. But when you look at the case, and I didn't follow it that closely, but I know following it from afar that there was a lot of inconsistencies involved in the case. So it makes you feel like him getting 10 is maybe too much when you factor in the possibilities and inconsistencies of saying that he might not have even did this.
Let's start with the first charge and see if the evidence provided proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Tory was guilty. So the first charge was having an unregistered weapon in a vehicle. So they didn't know whose gun it was. The only reason Tory got that first charge was because it was found where Tory had been sitting, but also where Megan had originally been sitting and where the girls had been fighting at. So we have all three people who were in that front passenger seat at a point where the gun supposedly shot from, not just Tory. So we can't just say it was definitely his from that. So then we have to go with DNA, fingerprints. So there were 4 contributors that were found on the gun and on the magazine of the gun. So any talk of the gun being wiped clean needs to stop, because that did not happen, or they wouldn't have found anybody's DNA on the gun, not just Tory's not being there, which it wasn't. Now, we can argue up and down until we are blue in the face about it being inconclusive on the gun, but his DNA not being a match to that magazine where 4 other people's prints were says that that gun couldn't have been Tory's. And if it was, he definitely hadn't loaded it before carrying it. Now, female DNA was found on the gun, but Megan nor Kelsey's DNA was ever tested against the gun to see if it could have been theirs.
Now, you got to admit, that's a major inconsistency. If it was female DNA found on the gun, why would you not test the 2 females that were in the car at the time of the so-called shooting? Is questionable, to say the least.
Which should have been done right after Sean Kelly gave his statements to police saying that there was a fight between the girls and he saw the flash go off near the non-female victim. And because the most important of all, gunshot residue had been found on Kelsey Nicole's hands as well as Tory's. Now, Megan first told police that she saw Tory pull a gun, and then she says that she saw him with the gun when she turned around and that he shot her from over the back door. Kelsey never sees Tory pull a gun, and she claimed that he shot at Megan from over the front passenger door because she was still standing behind the rear door Megan claims that Tory shot from. Sean Kelly, the witness, never sees anybody pull a gun, nor does he ever see it in anyone's hand. But he did see flashes from the gun, which he was for certain started with Kelsey first, who was outside of the vehicle being kicked at by Megan repeatedly.
So the witness that's up, I believe, in an apartment looking down says that flashes came from Kelsey's hand as Megan is kicking her as she's standing outside of the car. And nobody put that together, that kicking with feet could equal flashes from maybe a gun that would equal bullet fragments in the foot. I don't know. I'm just asking questions as we go along here.
So nobody ever actually saw Tori pull a gun from anywhere in that car. And nobody testified that they saw him with the gun before the shooting. He was just accused of firing shots from a gun from two people who can't seem to keep their story straight, nor even matches each other.
So nobody's seen Tory with the gun or seen him fire the gun, but he's accused of shooting the gun by two females that can't keep their stories straight and their stories don't match. So it's like, why are we believing their story going forth from here?
When we came in, when Kelsey was already sitting aside, but they acknowledged the fact that Kelsey wants an immunity deal. Kelsey had her own representation, okay? And so, that was like, yeah, that's what you want to do. The prosecution was like, we will not try to prosecute her. She still wanted the immunity deal. So they granted it and said, okay. And that is the only way that she, I feel like, was going to get up on that stand and say a thing.
So you're telling me that Kelsey dangled her stash of information that she was telling them that she had in exchange for an immunity deal. So whatever she would tell them, she's immune. She's not going to get any jail time like Tori would get. And I wonder why she went so hard on that point. Because what she was going to tell them was probably going to implicate her at some point. I'm just saying. I'm just doing the math and seeing if it add up. Is the math mathing?
Kelsey said, I do not care to be here today. She said, this is a triggering situation. It's causing me. She said, I have postpartum depression and there's a death in the family that I'm dealing with right now. So it's a lot. She said it's been a lot being lied on by Megan. Pete, P-E-T-E. She said, they said, what do you mean by that? What did she lie about? And she said, Megan lied about me betraying her and said that I was a bad friend, and then Megan lied and said I took hush money. They said, what about accusations online? And she said, there have been accusations online saying that I Megan, and that's just ridiculous. So they said, when you met Tori? She said, early 2020, I met him. And so they said, what was your relationship like with Megan? And she said, we were the very best of friends. I was her assistant. And then she said that her and Megan and Tori were all good friends and that they met at a, Rock Nation brunch. So they met earlier that year. Rock Nation does that brunch, January, February? Something like that? And they met at the Rock Nation brunch. Megan and Tori and Kelsey all met each other at the same time. Okay, get into it. She said, me and Tori were communicating, kind of like off to the side. And she said Megan encouraged it. They said, did Megan set you up with Tori? She said, absolutely. Megan got on that stand and said, Kelsey just had a crush on him. That's not true. Kelsey said Megan set us up. Okay? She set us up. And she said, Kelsey said that her and Tori had a few times. It was a sexual situation. It wasn't a relationship, but they was talking, having sex. Megan hooked them up, and she, you know what I'm saying, was encouraged by Megan to hook up with Tori, okay? They said, where you from? Where y'all from? She said, I don't know where Megan from. I guess Bell County. She said, but I'm from Victoria, okay? And then she said, Tori from wherever he from. Sort of God. And so they was like, okay, let's talk about, when you got. And so the comment was, well, when I got, Megan stayed, and Tori and Megan got close at this time. So she said after I went back like 2 to 3 months later. And so she said she stayed at Megan's Airbnb when she went over there. Okay. They said, when did you get back? And this is another key point. She said, I went back at the end of June. So I had been back 2 weeks. Megan's sat up there looking like a sexy Barney, talking about that she had came there 2 days before. She didn't say nothing about that girl getting there 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I said 2 weeks. Moving along. She said when Megan told her about coming back out there, and we'll get into what an immunity deal means. Only get an immunity deal is a bitch that don't want to go to jail. Talk about it.
And this is what I mean when I say some of these so-called facts were adding up against Tory Lanez, making him look like the guilty party when there was a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes that was not, or maybe or may not be confirmed. And when you have that going on behind the scenes, it's like it's not solidified. So if the evidence isn't solidified, then why are you then convicting a man for 10 plus years of his life for something that he may or may not have done? To me, it seemed like too many inconsistencies to give this man the hammer. But it seems like the public made up in their mind, because it was Megan Thee Stallion that was crying out to the public, even though she lied all the while that she was crying out. They made up in their mind, we're just going to give him the hammer because Megan Thee Stallion is saying so, and we got to believe her. I'm not saying there's not some things that you should believe about what she said, but I'm saying she lied on a lot of occasions in this story. So what reason would you have to just flat out believe everything that she says? And you can't believe everything that Tory Lanez says either. But I'm saying it's some truth in the middle of the mixture of all of these lies. And if we ain't really trying to get to that, but we just trying to throw the hammer and make an example out of somebody, I think that's not justice, and I don't think that's right. But in this case, that's what went down. He got 10 years. Boosie thought if he was in Louisiana, he would have got way more. But hey, 10 years is still a good chunk of your life that you would not want to give up if you hadn't done anything to be considered guilty to deserve that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, from what I understood, he apologized for some of the stuff that went down that night, but they never said he apologized for the egregious acts that they're saying that he committed. It just sounded like he apologized because he was drunk or this, that, and other, and they had some words or whatever, and that's where it went from there. But it's up for public consumption. You tell me what you think. I don't know. I'm just chopping up what I think from the little bit of information that I get. Like I said, I didn't follow it that closely, but from the distance that I did follow it, this seems like it could be a bit much. But y'all let me know what you think. It's your boy P Camp. Get at your boy.